to the JD Power Travel and Hospitality Podcast. I'm Sarah Baggett with the Marketing Department and joined today, as always, by our subject matter experts, Michael Taylor and Andrea Stokes. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, it has been a very busy month since our last episode. We've had two very large study publishes, and I'm going to dive right in and start with the airport satisfaction study that published earlier this month. I think the headline, Mike, was how much travel has increased. We've seen so many passengers going through airports, yet satisfaction is not falling. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, yes, that's exactly right. And I think people who have listened to this podcast have heard us say this many times that there is a correlation, a negative correlation between the number of people that are on the airport and people's satisfaction with the airport. It just makes sense. You know, if the TSA line gets longer, you're parking farther away. Parking lots are actually closing at some of the bigger airports on a fairly regular basis, which really puts a panic into people. When they pull up and it says, no space is available, and then they have to go find another space, and they wonder, will I be able to get into the terminal? And then, of course, once you get to the gate, there's no place to sit down because everybody's in seats already. However, the airports are doing a pretty good job handling that pressure at the moment, with some exceptions. But the three winners for each of the categories, and the mega category was Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is one in the past as well. They basically have an airport mall. And I tell people one of the feels that an airport wants to have that's very successful is the feeling that you're at a mall rather than an airport. They just happen to have a mall with airplanes parked outside. And Minneapolis is doing a good job giving that kind of feel. In the large category, it was John Wayne, Orange County, which is also a previous winner. And I think that they really appeal to the car culture in Southern California because you can park right next to the terminal or right across the street and jump into the airport. And the airport is really easy to navigate. It's basically just a couple of straight lines. And they did a really good job on access. People thought it was an easy airport to get in and out of. And while they were there, they found it easy to navigate, of course, because it's a straight line. I tell people that wayfinding is very easy in a straight line terminal. You're just counting up and counting down. You never really get lost. And then a multiple winner in the medium category, Indianapolis International Airport, which I think this is the seventh time they've won a JD Power Award. I told them that they need to reinforce the shelf they put the JD Power trophies on because they're getting so many of them, which is an excellent design airport. It's really well located between two major highways just outside of Indianapolis. It does have an outstanding airport design. It's big, it's open, it's spacious. People go through another little mall area as they come into the airport. And TSA, they're one of the few airports that actually has enough room for TSA to do the job that TSA does these days. And they do a great job at that. And they've upped their game as far as food, beverage, and retail, which you've heard me say on this podcast many times, that a good airport does the blocking and tackling really well. A great airport adds food, beverage, and retail on top of that. And that's what Indianapolis has been doing. They've been upping their food, beverage game in the last year, and they won by just a point. Over Jacksonville, which also had a great year. So that's the seventh time for them. So those are the three airports that won. And some of the other things that we've noticed that are somewhat disturbing, I think, is that over the years, people know that things are expensive on the airport. Obviously know a bottle of water doesn't cost $5. But, they still buy it anyway if they think they need it or they think the quality is there. Quality might more aptly apply to the pizza you're buying or the hamburger that you're buying at the airport. But we've seen quality as being the key driver in our studies over the years, that if the quality was there, people were willing to spend the money on the airport. Well, this year, price is kind of creeping up as, a determinant of whether people buy or not. And the per person spend has actually dropped quite dramatically across all the airports, all airport sizes that were measured, which I think is really some of a telling piece of data or pieces of data that we may be reaching the end of people spending as much, as they, not paying attention to the price. I think they're paying attention to the price more in this inflationary period that we're going through. So that's somewhat of a concern. But those airports that have that unique local identity still do well. That's been a hallmark of this study, that those airports that bring more of their location into the airport do better. And of course, crowding has a big effect, and so does construction. So that's kind of the highlights of the 2024 study.
Yes, all three of those winning airports do a great job bringing that localness in, for sure. That definitely helps. You mentioned that when passengers come in, they're looking for more seating. Are they looking for anything else when they are sort of choosing their airport or enjoying their airport?
Yeah, they want water filling stations because TSA takes away the water from them as they come in the airport. So they want water filling stations. They want to fill up the Stanley cups that they brought along with them, the empty Stanley cups that they brought along with them. Another thing they are looking for is more seating, which isn't surprising when the airport is crowded and when load factors, the percentage of seats that are filled on an airline, has also crept up. And so that means at any one particular time when an airline is departing, more of the seats will be filled in the airport, as a matter of fact. So those are the things that they're actually looking for. And then, of course, following closely on that is personal device charging, which is always the one thing that the airport can do more of. People want to reach out with their lightning cords and or their USB-C cords and plug it in and recharge their phones or their laptops or their iPads. So those are the things that people want at an airport.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about what makes an airport great, we have just launched a new video series called What Makes an Airport Great, and you can check that out on our website for more information. Well, Andrea, over to you. Let's talk about third party hotel management companies. It looks like satisfaction is going up and up with those. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We published I think it was the fourth uh, annual third party hotel management guest satisfaction benchmark. And it's interesting that our satisfaction when you look at the industry overall across all branded hotels. Satisfaction did drop for some hotel segments, and we learned that last July when we published our North America guest satisfaction study. But we also look at hotels that are managed by third party companies, and those hotels actually, and guests at those hotels are actually more satisfied. They and satisfaction did increase actually year over year. We look at the largest hotel management companies. So these are companies that manage 14,000 or more branded hotels. So I'm sorry, hotel rooms. Um, and we covered 18 companies in the benchmark. So there are some very large management companies that manage multiple properties across multiple brands, but we did look at sort of those guests staying at those hotels and actually guests staying at hotels maybe that are managed by the hotel chains or managed independently. The third party managed hotel stays did have higher satisfaction in comparison. So that was quite interesting. Davidson Hospitality did win for the highest guest satisfaction amongst third party hotel management companies. It was the third year that Davidson took the highest place in the ranking. But it looks like again those guests are more satisfied, and actually interestingly they are finding better value for money. We've known with higher room rates, inflationary period that we're in, that guests are sort of not seeing value for money in certain hotels or certain hotel segments. That's been declining year over year, but amongst hotels managed by third party companies, the value component is actually a little more positive. So it means those hotels are really delivering against guest expectations, right? Because when guests are paying more, they do expect more. So yeah, so it's been great to kind of cover that part of the industry. We again, it's our fourth year covering third party management. And, we're of course working with those companies to help them, improve their guest satisfaction every day.
It seems like the front desk staff and just general staff service and responsiveness are really important in this study. Are we seeing good satisfaction scores or high satisfaction scores with staff?
We are, yes. In addition to kind of the value component, we staff service is generally one of the highest scoring factors, if you will, that we measure. We look at staff, we look at guest rooms, we look at the hotel facility, communications and connectivity, food and beverage. Staff service generally kind of generally gets the highest ratings, and that was definitely the case amongst hotel stays at third party managed hotels.
Well, very interesting, very comprehensive study. We're excited to see where it goes in the fifth year, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Mike, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. Listeners, thank you for joining us again this month. We look forward to joining you again in October, where we will have the results of the North America Rental Car Satisfaction Study. So lots to look forward to in the coming months. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next month.